I got 5 kids. Which one you would actually put first over your beneficiary?
Well, I split them up.
Split them up? Okay. So who's your oldest?
My daughter.
What's her name? You named her?
Yeah.
Oh, Maya's a beautiful name. It's like, she like your best friend, isn't she? She calls you for everything, doesn't she? I know, a mother's job is never done. She calls you, Mom, how you make them steaks that you made last year? You know, Thanksgiving, them collard greens was good. Mom, I'm going through relationship problems. Mom, I'm going through a lot. She calls you for everything, doesn't she? Mm-hmm. If something was happening to Maya right now, and I was the funeral director, and I said it's going to be $15,000 to bury her, would you question that? Because you as a mom, you're going to make sure you get everything done exactly the way it needs to be, right? And there's no amount of money that you feel like is worth your child. You're not going to put a dollar amount on her, would you? You'll make sure you get that done, no matter if you had to overdraft your bank account, no matter whatever you had to do, you're going to make sure you bury your baby. Absolutely right, Miss Virginia. I just took advantage of you. Did you know that? Because a funeral does not cost $15,000 for you to bury. But you didn't mind spending it. You didn't question it. You didn't care.
Well, wait a minute. Some funerals do. Nope, my mother, we paid $15.
Oh, so you did plan a funeral before? For your mom? Did you want to get out of bed that morning when you had to figure that out?
Nope.
You wasn't ready for it. You wasn't prepared. I'm sorry, Miss Virginia, but you're going to cry. I know, and I understand that. Because it's a hard thing that we went through. I buried my grandmother. You know what I had to do?
What did you?
7 years old, I had to walk door to door to door to ask people for money. Because my mom didn't have it. My grandma died of cancer. She was with the company for over 35 years. The minute they passed away, they did not pay her premiums, not pay her policy. So my family went through what we went through, what you just mentioned. We had to ask. And we didn't have enough money to even bury her. We had to do something she didn't want, which was cremate. I know. I completely understand. And that's something we don't want nobody to go through. But here's the thing that you don't have to worry about. Our company has a legacy assurance program. We're going to make sure that everything that goes in line for you, as far as your casket, headstone, and vault, is already paid for. We're going to get 4 members of your family to receive this for free. We're going to make sure Maya has somebody to call when that time does come. Because God forbid if you was to leave, if you was leave today, the first person she's going to think to call is you. But if you're no longer here on this earth, who does she really have to call? Nobody. But like I said, you don't have to worry about that. Now listen, I'm just going to be 100% honest with you. We got really great programs. I know it will be a beneficial for your family. Now, I'm glad that you got insurance. That's 100% great. We have a lot of GoFundMe accounts, fish fries, people asking you for money just like I had to do. Now, do you want Maya to have to do that? Or do you want Senior Life to write that check for you to the company you can count on? All right, we're going to see what you qualify for now.
That's your presentation.
Oh, slow clap. Awesome job.
All right. Like what you did up there, but see, you did it on the female side. On the male side, we can't come like that.
Yes, I can. I'm going to come to you right now. I can do the same exact thing to you.
No, I'm saying, say I'm a male, not coming to see a female, like a woman, not coming to see an older lady. I can't come on to see where you came.
Yes, you can. Documentation beats conversation.
Use your
You have
soul.
children. You have children. She has children. So you're going to want to talk to the husband and wife. And like I said, you're going to sit down and talk to them the same exact way. Don't pull out no information. Don't put the iPad in front of their face. You see how I just completely just was like, I'm going to give you 100% my attention. And there's times, that was about 5-7 minutes.
Yeah.
Now there's times people will say, well, give me the rebuttals. Well, how long you been waiting for, Miss Virginia? You have no coverage? You mean to tell me that you want Maya to wait another year until you finally get something in line?
Well, it'll all work out.
It will all work out, but guess what? Your child marks what you do. So if you don't have anything, she won't have anything. Now, 9 times out of 10, nowadays, we are burying our children. Do you want that to happen to you?
Well, I try not to think about that. I didn't think about that.
Of course. We definitely all don't want to think about that, and I completely understand, but guess what? It's a reality. It could happen anytime, out when that time does come. There's no plan in place. There's not a one-on-one class that says, hey, when I pass away, this is what needs to be done. And right now, you can call Maya right now and say, Mama, well, this is what I need done. When Mama passes, I need this, and this, and this. You know what she's going to say to you? You know what she's going to say? Mama, I don't want to hear that. Because guess what? You're doing that right now. She's a replica of you. So if you're not prepared for that now, she's never going to be prepared. If you're not prepared to bury her, when do you think she'll be prepared to bury you? It's never going to happen. So let's just be honest. Do you want her to have to go through that? And the struggle, like you struggle, like you said you struggle with your mom. Or do you want senior life to write that check for you?
Okay.
Okay.
Let's go ahead.
Let's go and see what you qualify for.
Sure. Question, what do you do when they say, well, I already have insurance, how do you?
I just give that rebuttal.
Yeah, I'm gonna say
I
that.
just gave them. I said, great, you do.
But you
Where's the
got
plan in
a
place?
Yeah.
It's a plan.
I said, that's great. Let me tell you what you're doing. You're saying, figure it out when that time does come. Where's the plan in
Where's
place?
the plan?
That's probably about the Lexi thing you got going on, cause see, I had to bury my mama last year, and we had to go and pick up the casket, we had to go
Yeah, that's
and do all the work, and I wish I had known my days before that, cause this would have been, that would have took everything out. Cause me and my sister, you know, everybody crying and, you know, trying to pick out a casket, that's one part of the thing we had to do.
And that's when they take advantage of it.
Yeah,
Because we spent over $15,000.
yeah,
Question. Casket to our hour.
yeah, I was 14 something, yeah.
Even though they have a,
Do
even though they have a,
they have any plates? Did you ask that? Oh, you did? Awesome. Thank you. Oh, here's your plan too, by the way.
And that was with the family, the funeral home that the family used.
so,
Yeah, yeah, it was
When
kind
they
of,
got that
so
15, 20.
they already have a policy in place,
Mm-hmm.
okay? And, could you still write them even though,
Yes,
We
I
already
have
have it in
5
our
Because they can
policies.
use that money for something
Yeah.
else.
Mhm.
That could be something for their.
And you know what I told him?
Leave it
Great.
something
You know what I
I
said?
got a policy, but I'm gonna, this is
Inside
not,
of your
not
legacy
an-
insurance folder, guys, inside the legacy insurance book, it allows, I remember I said it actually for will and testament, actually for other policies. You can break that policy off to your child. That policy, I'm gonna tell them like this, if you use that policy in West Virginia, that $10,000 policy you're gonna get, your child gonna have to overspend. I'm gonna not say that. Maya is gonna have to overspend. Because in the same token, in the next, you're in good health, next 30 years, it may be $20,000. It's not gonna be enough for that. And guess what? Let me tell you what the funeral home does. Nope, they're gonna say like this. Maya's gonna call, this is Maya. Oh my God, my mom just passed away, I'm trying to figure out what I need to do. They're gonna say, sure, how much is your policy? Miss Virginia, you notice that they never said, I'm sorry for your loss. Let me try to figure out what I can do to help you. They say, how much is your policy, right? And so we'll say, Maya says, my mom had a $20,000 policy. Sure, come on in, we'll come in and help you, right? So now before she gets there, I had a death in my family. And my family only had a $10,000 policy. They're gonna show you 3 caskets, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000. My family has to go with the $6,000 casket because that's what we can afford. Now, before Maya gets there, they're gonna take off the tags. Now it's 11, 12, and 13 for those same 3 caskets. She's gonna spend 11 for that casket. I only spent 6, but they only charge you according to how much your policy is. So we cut that whole middleman out by having you call legacy.
yeah, they overcharge?
And we're already purchasing your casket at some point. And did you know Walmart sells caskets?
Yeah, we saw that online.
Now I see this.
For
I see
$900
this.
each. $900 each.
$995 for a casket, right? And I pull that up. I'll show it in my presentation. Listen, Walmart sells caskets. Let me tell you how much it is. Did your mom, was your parents buried in any one of these caskets right here? And I have found individuals who say, my mother was buried in that casket. Guys, I know that it sounds crazy to say some of the questions that I'm saying. I know, and I'm sorry. I know it sounds crazy to say that.
I was just picturing the funeral home going to Walmart, buying them and reselling.
That's what they do. And they do. They go to Walmart and buy the casket for like $900, but sell it to you for like 6 or 7.
Oh my gosh.
2-day shipping.
But that's what people argue all the time. I know how much a casket costs. You do. Good. Let me show you. And then you see the tears dropping. And so one of the things that I did do in my presentation was my first 3 questions. So if you didn't write anything down, write this down and get it. I asked you, have you ever planned a funeral before? Okay? The next question was, if something was to happen to you, who would be your beneficiary? The next question after that is,
Yeah, slow down.
He's
And
smart.
What's the next, I'm sorry?
The next, you got both got 12 too?
If something
What's that one?
happened to you,
The second one.
If something was to happen to you, who would be your beneficiary? Okay? And then your objective is, they're gonna say their husband or wife. And so I paint a picture. Remember this, guys. Facts tell, but stories sell. Paint a picture. So first you're gonna tell me your husband. You know what I'm gonna say? Oh, okay, awesome. Well, to be honest with you, your husband or you is reality is gonna, you're not gonna pass at the same time. Somebody's gonna pass before another. So it's either you or husband. I'm gonna be honest, most of the time they say that males work harder than women, which I don't believe. They say they work harder than them, so we outlive our males. And so you say your husband, but technically he wouldn't be the one doing it because you have to bury his. So then who would be your next beneficiary? That's when the children comes in. Okay, great. Well, what's their names? You was hesitant on saying it. But I kept saying, okay, what's the first one's name? Oh, Nonchalant. Great, Maya, that's good. You named her. Awesome. And then I was very strategic what I said, and I looked at you dead in your face, and I said, what if something was to happen to Maya right now? I know. It was cold, but I got you excited, and then I bring you back to reality. I got you excited, then I bring you back to reality. And that's my presentation. I'm not gonna tell you you've been founded in 1960, 1970, we have generous underwriting. Guess what? Because a client, if you never took your exam before, anybody took, you ain't gonna understand what I'm saying in the first place. So I wanna show you what I can actually do. People buy off emotions. When it comes to Christmas time, Thanksgiving, around, people buy off, because I know she's gonna be happy with that. People buy for emotions and off of emotions. So I'm not tricking them to do anything. I'm really just reminding you why you sent this request in.
That's right.
And so sometimes I'll say, hey, why you sent this in first? What was on your mind when you was thinking about that? Remember I asked you, oh, your furniture's so nice and pretty. I don't want to talk about no business when I first get in there. I want to be your friend. I want to make a relationship with you before I talk about anything else, because now I got to ask you for your social. You'll feel more comfortable now giving me your social, won't you? Yes, ma'am.
What I didn't know how to rebut this one. I went to a client yesterday, and she says, oh, I've taken care of this already. I've done a pre-need. How do you
I'm like, awesome, great. I'm actually a pre-need specialist. Let me see your pre-need information. 9 times out of 10, they don't have it. Or if they do, they're spending, overspending into their policy. Overspending, it could be 11,000, could be 12,000, could be 10,000. You okay with spending 8,000, Miss Virginia, for your funeral? And you're still paying on it? And then if it doesn't get paid off by the time you pass, the family's gonna pay. Oh no, you can get day 1 coverage. Let me see what I qualify you for.
pre-need, meaning they've gone to the
Yeah,
funeral
I
home
have
and already
a friend, I'm supposed to meet with Sunday, and she told me, she said, I'm just gonna do that funeral.
You can say, that's great, that's great. You do the funeral, fine. Is that saving you money? Is it gonna save you money? Are you about saving money or no? Do you like giving free money away? Because hey, my hand's out. Is that what you like to do? You do? Okay, you don't, right? Okay, I figured that. But you see how I'm talking to you? Sometimes you gotta be straightforward with that. If you're hesitant, they're not gonna listen to you. You gotta remind them why they sent this request in the first place. Because if not, and I can't remind you then you're a waste of my time. I can't even help you.
Can you recap the 3 questions?
It was, have you ever planned a funeral before?
Right.
If something was to happen to you, who would be your beneficiary? Yep, and then what would you do if you have to bury that blank? Because your objective is to get the person's name, and you want to get the child's name. Because ultimately, that is who's going to bury that loved one, your children.